Ugh. Let's go. All right, yeah, we're looking good. We're centered. Yep, we're nice and centered. Here we go. Effin' finally. Good riddance to bad rubbish. The Wheel of Time on Amazon is canceled, and the poorly written fan fiction is finally over. The Wheel of Time is an incredible world and an even better story. Don't let the Amazon show fool you. This is the greatest story ever told by man. This is a 14-book series, 15 including the prequel, each book being several times larger than a typical high fantasy novel. The book series has 147 POV characters, 2,787 named characters. On paper, it's 4.4 million words on 11,898 pages, and on audiobook, the length spans over 460 hours. This is the life's work of the late, great Robert Jordan. This series was so incredible that the most talented fantasy author at the time was commissioned to finish the series after Robert Jordan died. With the help of Jordan's last manuscript and supported by his widow, Sanderson completed the final 3 books, which in my opinion was Sanderson's best work to date because he absolutely nailed everything about the book and elevated the story even further. But Amazon thought they knew better and changed it all. Like at the very start of Book 1, Moraine enters the Two Rivers hiding her identity, since Aes Sedai are widely distrusted and feared. They're hunted by both White Cloaks and Dark Friends, so to gain a strategic advantage in their missions, they hide who they are. And Moraine's mission is the most important of all. But in the show, they stroll into a packed restaurant, and they announce who she is openly. Hey, we're Aes Sedai, check out my ring. It's the first thing they do. Okay, maybe they wanted to move the show along. I hate it. But sure, let them cook.
This is Laura Wilson of Audio Renaissance, and I'm speaking with Robert Jordan. How did you decide to start writing the Wheel of Time series?
I began writing The Wheel of Time because a great many notions had been bouncing around inside my head, and they started to coalesce. I wondered what it was really like to be tapped on the shoulder and told, "You were born to be the savior of mankind." I didn't think it would be very much the way it is in so many books where someone pops up and says, "Hi, I was born to be the savior of mankind, and here's the prophecy," and everybody says, "Oh, well, let's go then." And then finally there was the thought about something that happens in Tolkien and a lot of other places. The wise old wizard shows up in a country village and says, "You must follow me to save the world." And the villagers say, "Right then, Gav, off we go." Well, I did a lot of growing up in the country.
So 5 minutes later, she tells the group that one of them are the chosen one, and they go off to adventure. Including the girl, by the way, because, of course, the girl can be the male channeler, the Dragon Reborn. Of course. Imagine spending undisclosed millions to buy the best story ever, and spending another $80 million to make the first season, but changing everything about the story. I watched the Season 2 and Season 3 recaps while making this video, and guess what? Everything has changed. Every single thing. Who fights who loves who, how fights occur, how people look, what characters do what, people's disposition towards each other, characters' main traits, and don't worry, I'll explore all of these in this video, but it begs the question, why would you buy 4.4 million words to change every effing one? Like I said, 2,787 named characters, yet they felt the need to add their own Amazon new characters. Characters like Steppen, Lan's new best friend, who was added just so Lan could have an ugly cry scene. That's right, all Lan Mandragoran, the Forsaken King on a mission to die, the man of stone who never blinks in the face of horror, the embodiment of stoicism and quiet strength, tearing his clothes off, screaming and crying because a fake character was added to the story just so he could die. Didn't happen. Nope, not Lan. Not the coolest character in the whole effing story. He didn't act out emotionally like this when Moraine died in the books. This is character assassination of the highest order, and I can prove it. An iconic Land quote from The Great Hunt is, "There is one rule above all others for being a man. Whatever comes, face it on your feet." And in season 1 of the show, he is kneeling and crying and getting naked to abate his grief in front of Aes Sedai. F that. F that right in the butt. Talking about character assassination, what about Matt's family? Since when was Abel Cawthon a cheating husband and a terrible father? Cheating in this world is a severe thing, something that would get you shunned no matter your position. In fact, in the book, when Perrin is a general in the Dragon's army, there are simply rumors of him being unfaithful to his wife, and he is shunned by even his most loyal followers. Cheating is blasphemy. And while we're talking about Perrin in the books, no, he doesn't have a wife before Fael. And yes, in the show they gave him a wife that he straight up murders in the first episode for no effing reason. In writing, they call this fridging, which is a trope I've never heard of until now, and I hate it. I hated how the Borderlanders talked about dying, and how it's their duty. The Borderlanders' oaths are a solemn tradition among the nations that guard the Blight. These oaths are more than ceremony. It's a reflection of their deep culture and commitment to vigilance, sacrifice, and honor in the face of the constant threat from the shadow. But the way the leaders are discussing it in the show, it's like it's news to them, and they're shocked that they're going to need to defend the border with their lives. In contrast, in Book 13, as a Borderlander fortress is about to fall, the commander knows someone must carry the word south. He chooses his teenage son, a messenger boy, to ride with the message. But in a moment of quiet heroism, the youth orders another, faster rider to take the message instead, knowing it means his own death. The father realizes what his son has done, and rather than protest or saying anything, he gives him a sword so they can fight and die together, defending the tower to the last. Honor, sacrifice, and duty. That's what these people live and breathe. But in this show, the leaders of the Borderlands need to spell it out for each other. I know it's for the viewer, but it's lazy character assassination. I guess the character who acts like a bitch in this scene is a made-up character anyways, so maybe it's cultural assassination? Robert Jordan spent nearly 12,000 pages telling an epic story centered around these characters, and all of our characters are ruined. Any moron with a hammer can destroy in 30 seconds what took a master artist a lifetime to create. What a terrible fan fiction. Why even call it The Wheel of Time? People who haven't read the books say it's corny and boring. People who have read the books say it's utter trash. How Amazon pillaged this story is obscene, and I am so happy it's over. Because maybe in 10 years, AI can make a movie for us, and we'll get the story told correctly in all its glory. But for now, I will go through all of the horrible changes I noticed on my first watch through of Season 1. Let's get into it. Modern cinema loves to show how amazing women are. So every show nowadays forces us to watch while a scrawny teenager whips the crap out of a burly big dude in a fist fight. But with The Wheel of Time, you actually have the source material to show this. The books show women in power, women as leaders above men, men as stupid brutes, men with more faults than women, in an unbelievable, amazing story that everyone loves. There's a great line in the first book where Egwene is just learning that she's able to use the One Power, and society kind of distrusts power users. Well, actually society very much distrusts power users. At this point, Egwene knows very little about the actual history of the world, and what she and most people know is from stories and legends. Fearing the One Power, Egwene says the women were not part of it. It was the men who went mad and broke the world. And Moraine clarifying for Egwene, and at the same time showing the audience how society views and distrusts men in the world, she says, "You want to know that the Aes Sedai are good and pure, and it was those wicked men of the legends who caused the breaking of the world, not the women. Well, it was the men, but they were no more wicked than any man, and they were insane, not evil. All you had to do was tell Robert Jordan's story, and you'd be good. Instead, you effed it all up, and now everyone hates you." I'd bet less than 5% of the scenes were actually in the book. Like when Moraine and Swan are still lovers in the show. Why? Why? They were pillow friends in training. Now they have an important mission to decide the fate of the world. They aren't friends with benefits anymore. Now they're co-conspirators who understand a secret assignment that's more important than life, and an assignment that if anyone in the White Tower learns about it, means their execution. They were pillow friends, but that was over 20 years ago. Now they have the burden of responsibility, and their charge is to play politics and avoid showing affection to each other at all costs to come out ahead in the wizard political court. And Moraine is supposed to be in love with Tom Marilyn. Maybe not yet, but her loving Tom is a plot point as early as in the second book. So you're telling me that Swan and Moraine were lovers for over 20 years, and they still have passionate love-making sessions every time they meet, but in a few months, she's going to slowly fall in love with Tom? I would have loved to watch the subtle hints of their affections. Moraine and Tom are both experts in the Great Game, making their love story incredibly delicate and subtle. When we're reading the book, we don't even know exactly when it starts, and we don't even know that it's happened until much later in the series. I'm watching the show, and I'm like, so the Wizard Queen and Moraine are boning in their secret made-up boning room, and they forgot about the Tom and Moraine love story?
Well, Danny kind of forgot about.
Or the writers are just plagiarizing a super unpopular fan fiction. Either way, it's bullshit. Without going on a super tangent here, Robert Jordan already wrote these characters to normalize gay stuff without it distracting from the story. Like, just follow the story. It already fit your playbook, but I guess it wasn't good enough.
Put a chick in it, make her gay!
It was already like that! So as the story was told in the show, the Tom Moraine romance is gone. What about Swan's romance with Gareth Bryn later on? They'll probably kill Gareth, let's be real. Just like they killed Agelmar for no effing reason. For anyone to look upon Robert Jordan's work and think they could improve upon it, how arrogant and disrespectful could you be?
We didn't want to put any of our own, certainly in terms of the thematic material, we didn't want to put any of our own baggage. I mean, we had no interest in putting our messages into this movie, but we thought that we should honor Tolkien by putting his messages into it.
I guess that brings us to power scaling. God damn, I hate this show. The power scaling is so much more simple in the show. Basically, if the writers think the main girls can do it, they can do it. In the book, each spell is a weave that requires intricate knowledge to perform. That's why they go to school for such a long time for it. That's why the training is so hard, because it's not something you can just do because you want to. Yeah, sometimes an untrained wilder can use magic, but for the most part, it's a learned skill to handle weaves. One example of this is at no point in the book does any healer AoE heal people. In the show, Nynaeve is just like, oh, everyone just died in front of me, so I'm sad. Holy Nova, now everyone's alive again. First off,
That's not how the Force works.
healing is a diagnosis where you sense the injury and then it's followed by a concentrated healing process to heal that specific injury, much like surgery. Second off, you can't bring back the dead, but now this chick is just like AoE, boom, heal. What a crock of shit. Holy Nova, bring people back from the dead Nynaeve. I guess she's gonna need to AoE heal everyone every time, or she just doesn't care about the people who die anymore. The show depicts a group of mostly untrained women unleashing massive destruction during a fight, especially in contrast to Moraine, a seasoned Aes Sedai who struggles to hold off a much smaller force. So it feels very inconsistent and completely shatters the stakes of the world by destroying the power scaling. Talking about power scaling, Moraine told Logain that he is just a drop in the bucket compared to the Dragon Reborn. Well, that's a funny thing to say, considering Logain completely wiped the floor with a handful of fully trained Aes Sedai, while being shielded. Cut to a few untrained novices nuking the whole army. Power levels mean nothing. And then, they go ahead and they make Nynaeve as strong as the dragon. Like, Logain admits that she is way stronger than him. Nynaeve isn't as strong as Rand. She's not as strong as Logain pre-Gentle. She's not as strong as any of the male Forsaken except Osmodian. It's just a buff for no reason. And that leads me to this asinine scene in the show. If you don't believe me by how much this show diverged from the original lore, check out this dog water scene. The climactic battle at Faldara is happening, and the women channelers are up against bad odds. A non-Aes Sedai channeler forms a circle with 4 other non-Aes Sedai channelers. Forming a circle is a secret that the Aes Sedai keep, and it's a plot point in the book. So this is not possible, but I guess it's needed for this amazing scene, so let me continue. She takes so much power from the other women, and she can't handle it, so she starts burning out members of the circle. Burning people out in a circle? Yeah, that doesn't happen in the books. Technically, it could, but forming a circle is considered extremely safe, and I don't think there's record of it ever happening. But I guess the show needed to tell the scene, so let me continue. So then we see Egwene healing people who are burnt out, except, by the way, someone who's burned out doesn't physically burn their body. It's a metaphor. But I guess that was lost on the show, and now we are here showing people who lost access to the One Power with literal burns on their body. Except why is it Egwene who's healing people? Isn't Nynaeve the healer? So they picked the wrong main character to perform the healing action. But also, healing a person who's burnt out is not possible, and it never has been. Not until Nynaeve makes the discovery of a lifetime in Book 7. It's all bullshit, it's all made up, and it's all fake. I could go on for hours about how badly this show is cast, but I'm going to keep it brief because in the grand scheme of things, the writing is the main culprit here. I'm sorry, but Nynaeve was one of my favorite characters, and she was supposed to be super hot. In Book 1, Rand notes that Nynaeve is pretty in ways that Egwene would never be, though he quickly feels guilty for thinking it. Granted, the books often focus more on her strength, intelligence, and emotional intensity, but her beauty is always acknowledged. In fact, the book wrote all the main female characters as super hot, standing out to princes, men of power, average men, but in the show, for some reason, they only made Egwene hot. Actually, I googled the season 2 cast, and Elaine is kind of a smoke show, so whatever, let's move on. The Aes Sedai were supposed to be ageless, not aged. In the books, their appearance caused by using the One Power made them look youthful and smooth skin, which others in the world often interpreted as beauty or even unnatural allure. So I could see how a normal person would have a tough time nailing that look, but a makeup artist or a CGI professional? Why not? I guess I expected more. Like, don't give everyone crow's feet and make them look like old wizards. You should be able to tell that they're Aes Sedai if you know what to look for, and I bet you a Snapchat filter has a great option for this. Let's be honest, the Aes Sedai look like crap. Moving on to race and culture. In the books, the kingdoms are not filled with diversity. A person from one kingdom would be able to tell a person from another kingdom very easily. Don't tell me these were the perfect actors for the role, and we needed to destroy the culture painstakingly developed by the books so we could get the best performances. No way, there's too many people in the world for that to happen. I don't buy it. From skin color, to hairstyle, to facial hair, to mannerisms, to height, the books clearly paint each city in light of their people. Each kingdom having their own unique culture. Seeing these people who I've heard about for years was going to be something so cool. Check out this infographic. See how many races and cultures exist in the book? But nope. In the show, every town is 30% this, 20% that, 10% this, 10% that. Listen, in the show, Rand was an outlander. He was different. He was taller than everyone in his village, and he stood out for that. When certain people see him, they sometimes mistake him for Aiel, a famous fighting tribe who lives and rules the harsh lands of the desert. I guess throw that out the window. Everyone's unique and different, just like the melting pot that is California. I hate talking about this stuff, but let's plow through because I got one last point about gender here. Book, men and women weren't soldiers. Yeah, some cultures had women as soldiers, such as the Aiel, but in most of the cultures of the primary land, the men were the soldiers. In the show, 50% men, 50% women went into battle, no exception. By the time we get to the battle scenes, I was already checked out, but if you've been paying attention, they changed everything, so why not change this too? Alright, I'm so effing done. Rejoice, friends, the garbage show is dead and over. Let's go again in 10 years.